Hey guys, Broheen here from the Gamers Emporium channel, bringing you another guide for rogues, and this guide is on the new spec. It's a hybrid between Nightblade and Assassin, and we're going to call it Assblade for the remainder of this video because it sounds funny. So, alright, here we go guys. So let's take a look at the soul trees. So the soul tree is 38 Nightblade, 38 Assassin, 0 Rift Stalker. We'll go through the masteries at the end. So your Nightblade tree, put 5 in Burning Rage, 5 in Blazing Fury, 1 in Twilight Force, 1 in Flame Thrust, 3 in Unstable State, 3 in Lingering Flame, 1 in Dark Malady, 3 in Fire and Death Attunement, 3 in Night Stalker, 1 in Ebon Fury, 3 in Heat Retention, 3 in Enhanced Weapon Enchantments, 2 in Enkindle, 1 in Dusk Till Dawn, 2 in Ignited Weapons, and 1 in Death from the Shadows. That concludes the Nightblade tree. Should be 38 points total. And then also 38 points in Assassin goes like this: 5 in Ruthlessness, 1 in Murderous Intent, 5 in Magnify Pain, 1 in Puncture, 3 in Cloak and Dagger. Skip the next row here: 5 in Cruel Vengeance, 1 in Backstab, 3 in Serrated Blades, 1 in Improved Stealth, 5 in Poison Mastery, 2 in Physical Trauma, 1 in Slip Away, 2 in Advanced Flanking, and 3 in Heartseeker. Now your Rift Stalker is there for the utility of Shadow Shift, so make sure you have Shadow Shift on your bar. You can get the hell out of somewhere. It comes in very handy in Iron Tomb in the last boss, I'll tell you that. So your mastery is 61 is Soul Steel, 62 Adamant Resolve, 63 Boundless Energy, 64 is Repetitive Strikes, and 65s is Energy Manipulation. So, alright guys, let's take a look at some macros and abilities that are on the bar. Okay, so I have a total of 6 macros for this spec, and the first one being the Builder. Your Builder is basically just with a Show Backstab, cast itself Energy Manipulation, cast Backstab, cast Savage Strike, cast Twilight Force, and cast Expose Weakness. Your finisher is Show Flame Thrust, suppress macro failures, cast Flame Thrust, cast Blazing Strike, cast Expose Weakness. There is a macro from when your target is under 30% and you need to finish them off very fast. It's Show Dusk Strike, suppress macro failures, cast Backstab, cast Dusk Strike, cast Twilight Force, and cast Expose Weakness. So there is another ability that goes in with that. I can kind of give you a pointer on it, but we'll talk about that in a moment. I've got an opener macro and a switch, or like if you have to switch targets and get your stacks of heat retention back up, this macro will do it for you. It's just to cast itself Energy Manipulation, cast Fiery Spike, and cast Expose Weakness. We have a Slip Away Stealth, which basically is just a macro to redo Dark Malady, or to reapply Dark Malady on the target after about 8 to 10 seconds. So that one is cast Slip Away, cast Dark Malady, cast Expose Weakness. And then there's a cheap AoE macro. It doesn't really do too much AoE, but if you find yourself in this spec, and you should be, like let's say you jump down from the ledge and you're supposed to be in a single target spec, or in an AoE spec, I'm sorry, you're supposed to be in an AoE spec, but you started combat and you happen to be in a single target spec, you can at least hit this button and it'll make your character cast some AoE abilities just to kind of spread the damage a little bit and be able to keep up the DPS in an AoE situation. So, but I would never ever use this spec for anything AoE. This spec is very much just like the regular 61 Assassin build, except it's very good with disconnects because Nightblade offers a lot of melee abilities that have some good range. So if you have a disconnect from the boss and have to run away for the time being, keep spamming the Builder and you're still going to be attacking the boss regardless of whether you're in melee range or not. Whereas with Assassin, it's impossible to do damage when you disconnect. So alright, but let's take a look at the bars. Your buffs are going to be Virulent Poison, Lethal Poison, and then I use from my planar attunement, I have the Archaic Tablet, Petrified Ruin, and Renewing Seed, and all that wonderful stuff. On my bar, it's majority of its macros. I have the builder in slot 1, finisher slot 2, and then I have my my dots laid out like I usually do, which is starting with number 3, and then 6 use Dusk Till Dawn. Then number 5 is a puncture, and 8 is Death from the Shadows. So I kind of treat it like my Mage's Warlock build. I kind of go through the dot rotation, if you will, first, and then go to the builders and finishers. So, and then number 4 here, I have my below 30% macro. Up here on my Shift F function, I have the slip away macro to reapply Dark Malady. Other things on the bar here, my stealth, and your big cooldown, Poison Malice. You should use this literally right away after your first hit at the start of combat, unless you have an Archon that's going to drop Flaring Power, then I would suggest use it during that phase. So, but you want to have this up for when you use your Dusk Till Dawn and your Death from the Shadows. So, with that being said, Ebb and Fury on the bar, you want to use this right before you start using your less than 30% because it'll make you not cost energy, or make your Dusk Strike and Twilight Force not cost any energy to use. So if you're starving for energy while you're using that macro, you can hit this and regain some. If you need to apply a dot, Impale is a very good finisher that'll do a lot of damage over time. However, it's not built into the rotation because the finishers that you have in the macro are much better than using Impale. Shadow Shift on the bar, utility, move out of the way. And Fiery Chains is your AoE. That's, you know, not really a good AoE, but it's AoE for if and when you need it. So, okay, now we're going to talk about rotation. So the way rotation is set up here, you see I'm in stealth, and we have another bar for stealth, so I keep Dark Malady is what you're going to open with. And Expose Weakness and Energy Manipulation should be casted pre-pull. If you're using this for soloing, I just keep Lost Hope and Incapacitate here in case I have to stun 2 enemies just to get in and collect something and then get out, rather than take the time to fight. But pre-pull, you're going to want to use your Energy Manipulation and Expose Weakness. Then from that point, you're going to open up with a Dark Malady. You're going to use your Fiery Spike macro, your Dusk to Dawn, and then a finisher. Then you're going to go with Puncture, Death from the Shadows, another Fiery Spike, and a finisher. And then you're just basically doing builders from there on. And as you watch your cooldowns for Dusk Till Dawn and Death from the Shadows, so Death from the Shadows is about to come up, so we're going to do a Fiery Spike, Puncture, Death from the Shadows, finisher. Now the Dusk Till Dawn is about to come up, so you want to do a Fiery Spike, Dusk Till Dawn, finisher, keep them on cooldown. And as I said, you always want to keep your Poison Malice up, so we're going to hit that now because we're about to go back into the rotation to do a Puncture and a Death from the Shadows, finisher. We have some time yet on the Dusk Till Dawn. Now the reason we're behind the enemy here is because you have Backstab in your macro, and Backstab does a lot more damage, only will do damage, and does a lot more damage if you're behind the boss. So now, let's get all our dots back up, and I'll show you the cool thing about this spec. Alright, so now we're going to do a disconnect. So we're going to run away because we have to move out of the way from mechanics. Check this out. You're standing way out here, and you don't stop attacking. That is freaking badass. You can even use your Dusk to Dawn and Death from the Shadows. You just can't use Puncture. So Puncture's kind of, you know, you won't be able to do this from afar. But all you'd have to do is get in here real quick, hit him with a Puncture, back out. Bam. You're pretty much done. So now we're maintaining with a disconnect. You lose Backstab, so your DPS will drop. So you kind of want to get back, you know, behind them. But we are, you know, over 2 minutes maintaining a solid, you know, 28k. And again, you know, kind of showing you my gear here. Not really in the best gear. It's all detailed gear, except my headpiece. My headpiece I got lucky in Iron Tomb. Everything is pretty much basic gear. Other than, you know, my 2 weapons are 125 and my helmet is 125. That's pretty much it. Other than that, I have shit for gear. So the fact that I'm holding almost 30k DPS and shit gear, imagine what you're going to do in a much better gear, you know, from having all your expert dungeon gear. So, okay, guys, well, have fun learning Ass Dancer. Sorry, not Ass Dancer, Ass Blade. Ass Dancer is going to be coming up soon. I still have to learn that spec. That's the mix between Assassin and Blade Dancer, but we'll talk about that another time. If you have any questions, concerns, comments, or something that you think I can improve on with this spec, please let me know, and I will try to make the adjustments. Constructive criticism is welcomed. You know, being an asshole is definitely not. So please let us know what you think. Subscribe to the channel, like the video, share the video, tell your friends about us, whatever you have to do to make yourself happy and help us out. We appreciate everything you guys do for us. So thanks again for watching, and have an awesome day.